Good morning, Manchester United fans. Welcome to All for United. My name is Mary. I'm back on hosting. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Keane and Kojo this morning. Nights they got us out of a hole last night when we were stuck for people to come on, but they jumped in as our saviors. Thanks for coming on, lads, this morning. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm a bit kind of like, but I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm very good now.
Obviously,
I'm delighted to be on again. It was good to be on the other night reviewing the Luton game, so I'm glad to be back.
lot going on this morning, Reds. Smash the like button if you're watching. Subscribe to All for United. We're going to get into it. Ollie's just had his presser as well. Lots of Jadon Sancho talk. Howard Nurse has come out and the Mirror has come out and said that United are going to make a last-ditch bid for Jadon Sancho. £90 million apparently, take it or leave it to Dortmund. 75 million up front with 15 million in add-ons. Kojo, I'll come to you first. Do you think this is going to happen? Do you think Dortmund will accept it? What do you think?
I think that's a joke bid, knowing that they won 108 million. So you're pretty much wasting your time with that bid. And I think it's kind of cheeky also that you pursue a player for so long, and then you go and tell them that we'll go in 18 million below your asking price, but it's take it or leave it for their own player. That's a bit insane to me. He's a wonderful talent, as we all know. But if we're not going to pay the money that they're adamant that they want, because they haven't budged on it since the beginning of the transfer window, if they're not going to pay a fee and you know you're not going to get anywhere closer to it, you might as well just move on and try and target someone else. So I don't think Dortmund are going to budge. I don't think we're going to budge. I think we're just wasting time at this point, and I think it's better off just trying to spend the money elsewhere and trying to get someone else.
Keane, what do you think? Do you think Dortmund might be, like, we know they've had 45 million losses. Do you think they might be desperate enough if we waited this long? And we know Sancho wants to come as well. And Dortmund are a selling club. Do you think they might just say, okay, we'll take it? Or do you think they're going to stand firm? They've been firm so far.
I think, like with Borussia Dortmund, the one thing I'd say about Borussia Dortmund, that they don't roll over for anybody in terms of a transfer. Like, you look at the Ousmane Dembele situation, though they said, we want that 120 million for him at the time, and they didn't budge, and Barcelona did have to pay it. Same situation here with Sancho, like if we're offering 18 million below the asking price. I think that's a complete slap in the face. If you want to get an elite player, if you want to be an elite club, you have to pay the transfer fee. You have to go in and do it. Like, you look at this situation, we've been negotiating this deal since August, and even before that there was kind of brief talks before that. So you know what Dortmund are asking for, just pay up the money now. Look, I don't know if it's a situation where we might need to offload the likes of Chris Smalling and Sergio Romero to maybe add on to that fee. I don't know, but as it stands, if we're offering that, I don't think Dortmund are going to budge, really, to be honest.
Yeah, like at this stage, it's 10 days left in the transfer window, and Kojo, you spoke about getting somebody else. Do you think if we don't get Sancho, anybody else is going to be a panic buy at this stage?
Well, yeah, it's gonna have to be a panic buy because we've left it so late, haven't we? I don't even know if they've had other targets though. That's why I don't want to speculate too much on whether Sancho was the only target. I would like to imagine that he's not. Obviously you got your plan A and then you got your plan B and C. But if you pursue someone for so long, I can only assume that he is the only guy that you want, and anyone else would be sort of like in this age, a side chick. Yeah, no, they obviously clearly want him. Like he's the man for the occasion, as it proves for Dortmund, and obviously they want that to be for United. I'm sure they're saving that number 7 for him, but me personally, I don't see it happening. And I could name a lot of other players that we could potentially get, but I don't know if those guys are in the eyes of Solskjaer or the rest of the club. So yeah, I'm kind of worried that we're not going to get anyone else in that position.
Keane, I said 10 days left, panic by FC, or are we actually going to get our target for once? Maybe if we could, maybe if the initial bid was 90 million instead of 75 and then 18 million in add-on, do you think Dortmund would go for that? Like, it seems like we've been negotiating for 8 weeks and even before that, and Kojo said, we've been tentatively linked to other players, but nothing really of note. It looks like all our eggs are in one basket.
It looks like, to be honest, all eggs are in the Sancho basket in terms of this. Like in the last kind of six to 8 weeks, we haven't been kind of concretely linked to anybody else. Now look, there's been little, like, I suppose, comments that, you know, Persage or Kingsley Coman, but not in concrete there. Like, as you said, maybe if they do offer 90 million with the 18 million probably in installments rather than add-ons, because then at least then Dortmund do still get their 108 million pounds. So if they offer something like that, maybe that maybe push Dortmund's arm then in that respect. But you have to look at it. United, if we're not going to get Sancho, there has to be a plan B, plan C. There has to be other players there. Like any club that has a plans and has a vision, they do have alternatives if they don't get their main player. There has to be someone else. There has to be talks going on in the background. For us, it seems like we're just monitoring FC at the moment, and we're not pushing ahead, and we're not being proactive in this transfer window.
It's just it's frustrating to say the least. And look, Howard Nurse works for the BBC, and they are quite reliable. There has been a lot of rumblings last night. Whatever you want to say about the Mirror, I would definitely trust the BBC. And if we are getting close to the deadline, and there was talks yesterday about waiting until the 1st of October, so wouldn't that, his, I suppose, transfer fee wouldn't be included in the next quarterly fee? Maybe that's what we're waiting for. Maybe there's going to be somewhere we're going to push through and start, because we need to start making some headway certainly in the next 2 days, because it is going to be panic by FC after that if we don't do something. And like Coach just said, we haven't really been linked. You could name a load of players, but we're not really been linked to many of them. Look, hopefully we can see either Sancho or somebody else in the net, because we do need that right wing. We do need it sorted. And let us know in the comments if you don't think Sancho is going to come, or you do think he's come. Let us know in the comments. Moving on, Ollie had his presser this morning, and he said that Eric Bailly is going to start against Brighton tomorrow. And look, we had a defensive nightmare against Crystal Palace, and Lindelof, I'm not going to say Maguire was blameless as well, but certainly Lindelof was directly at fault for a number of those goals. Maguire, he didn't help in any way as well, but Bailly came in and we saw him, it was Luton, but he was decent against Luton, and it looks like Ollie's going to play him. Do you think, Keane, I'll come to you first, do you think Bailly could be the answer to our centre-back woes?
I think maybe in the short term, Eric Bailly is the answer, because you look at the situation obviously with Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire, like, for where he does read the game very well in terms of his aerial ability and his distribution from the back, where he lacks his pace. Now with Eric Bailly, he has a lot of pace. Do you know what I mean? So we're in these situations where Maguire is getting turned, and you have it like a fast front three run that when you had the likes of Ayew and Zaha. It's going to be a situation there where clubs are going to target Maguire because of his lack of pace. With Eric Bailly, he has that bust of pace in him, though his breakup play is very good. Only thing I'd say about this, though, is obviously his injury worries. Like, he gets a run of games, and then about 4, 5, 6 games, then he gets injured for a prolonged length of time. Like, if he's going to be the answer, he's going to have to obviously stay fit. And obviously since 2016, since he signed, we haven't seen him get kind of an extended run in the team. There's always been a few games, and then it's injured for that prolonged length of time, then come back a few games, then injured again. So if you're looking at it long term, you do have to buy a centre back. But I think for the short term, until the deadline, yes, he's the answer, but I still believe a centre back is needed.
What do you think, Joe? We've only seen the Maguire and Bailly partnership 4 times, but we've won all 4 games and only conceded 1 goal. A lot of people are of the opinion that Maguire and Lindelof don't suit one another, like you touched on. Bailly is a lot quicker. He can make recoveries to make up for Maguire's lack of pace. Do you think he could potentially be the answer to our woes?
He could be the answer if he could stay fit. That's the one worry, or not even worry. That's the problem with Bailly. Unfortunately, he's been too unlucky with injuries. So when it comes to playing him consistently, that's a complete and utter myth, because it can't happen. It's scary. And the way Lindelof performed against Crystal Palace that was scary as well. That was like a horror movie. Honestly, and it kind of annoys me because last season I was praising him for the things that he was doing, and then he threw in the bin. So I'm taking that back. I'm never doing that again. But no, Eric Bailly could be the solution, but because he's injured so many times, you can't rely on him to play even 20 league games, and that's worrying. So we still desperately need another centre back, even though we got so many at the club, but so many of them are just not good enough, or they just don't want to be there. So you got like Rojo and Jones, Smalling. These guys they're done, and Bailly, I like him, but I can't rely upon him to stay fit. So for that reason alone, we still need another centre back, despite how good he is.
No, he's going to play. He's going to play tomorrow. I'm excited to see that Maguire and Bailly partnership. But I do echo what you guys said. He's only played 20 league games in 3 seasons. Only won all of last season. Now, his first season he came in and he was so good, and he was really consistent, and he didn't have that many injuries. But ever since then, it's kind of just been like Kojo, you said, it's stop start. He can't get a consistent run, and he kind of does things as well that, in a way, reminds me of Phil Jones, because he's reckless in that sort of brainless kind of a way, for want of a better word. And you're like, Bailly, what are you doing? And that when he jumped up and had a clash of heads with Maguire in the Chelsea game, and you're like, what are you doing? But he's so good on his
it's like calculated madness almost.
Like it is, and you think, if you can just stay fit, because we have seen them together and they do have qualities that could potentially complement each other so much. It is just his fitness. But look, we'll wait and see. Hopefully he can get a run of games, even if it could get us out of a hole maybe until January, maybe. But it does remain to be seen. But I am excited for tomorrow to see him and Maguire, because even though it was Luton, they certainly did look solid, and I would potentially prefer. I think against Brighton they could target Lindelof as well if he starts, because he is a vulnerability in there. Kojo, you touched on Chris Smalling there as well, and Ollie has said this morning, he was asked in his presser about players being moved on, and we are struggling to move players on. And Chris Smalling has been in talks at Roma, and Ollie has said this morning, look, we have to wait and see. We need a couple of things to happen before we can see Smalling move out the door. We saw reports this week that we're struggling to move on Lingard, Pereira, Rojo. Kojo, I'll come to you first. Why do you think we're struggling to move these players on?
Because in the kindest way possible, some of the names that you said, they suck. I mean, if I was a manager of another club and I'm looking for a midfielder and I'm offered Andreas Pereira, I just have to look at his last season alone and be like, no, this guy, hell no. He's not coming in my club. Phil Jones, on top of not being good, is just not fit in general anyway. So players like that, I don't understand. Lingard, I think Lingard is sellable. I think Lingard has proven over his United career that he has good quality. He's useful in certain game situations. Last year against City, he was quite good as well, because his off-the-ball movement during counter-attacks is quite impressive. So he's someone you can sell on. Small's obviously went by Roma because he had a great time there. But apparently we're not budging on the transfer fee. I don't know, it's rumour speculated, but apparently we want 18 and they've been offering like 9 or 12. So I feel like with like two or three players, add Romero to that 3 players, we can sell them because they've shown over a period of time that they've been good enough to play for United. They've done well for United, and they have sell-on value. But the other guys are just like, I as crazy as this sounds, in terms of rudeness, I'm very happy that we don't have Igalo as a permanent player, because imagine trying to sell him also. Like, he hasn't even scored a league goal since he's been here, and he's had chances to score in games. People talk about he doesn't start games. Yes, of course he doesn't. But in games he's played, he's had chances, and he's squandered them every time. So yeah, I'm kind of happy that he's going to go away in January. But for people like Pereira and Jones, to be honest, we might also see that the contracts run out, because I don't see anyone buying them anytime soon.
Like, that's interesting. Like, we know that, like, some of them aren't the best quality, but we've seen worse players. I mean, go to other clubs. Pereira had some decent loan spells in Spain. You know, apparently at the beginning of the transfer window, some of the Spanish teams, some of the Portuguese teams were in for him. I mean, if you sold, surely you could get 10 million. I mean, when you see the likes of other players being sold from lesser quality teams and lesser quality players. I mean, Lingard as well, and Charlie said in the comments, Lingard played well the other night, Coach. I do agree. He's still only 27 and he does offer teams a lot. And Keane, like, we're struggling to even sell Lingard, and surely a Premier League team, a mid-table Premier League team would take someone like Lingard. Surely a Spanish team would take Pereira and Rojo. I mean, he had a loan in Argentina, and is it because they're on huge money? Is it because our negotiations are really poor? Matt Judge, or why can't we sell these players? Why are we struggling?
Well, I think it's a situation of what you just alluded to. I think it's all the above. You look at it like wages. You look at players like Phil Jones who are on 90 grand a week. They don't know that. Like, you look at that, he's only given a 5-year deal last January. For whatever reason, I don't know. That's the ineptitude of the board again. You look at Jesse Lingard, who's on 120,000 a week. Now, look, as Coach alluded to, he has played well in certain games. He can do a job, but teams will look at his recent form and will they want to give him that wage? Will these players want to leave Man United when they're on that wage, knowing if they go to these teams, they'll probably most likely have to take a 40 to 50% wage cut if they're going to go to a mid-table team? So you have to look at the ineptitude of the board in terms of the wages and the contracts they've been given, but also obviously the players' lack of quality over the last kind of 12 to 18 months. It kind of makes it hard for us to get him out the door. Like, even look about 2 seasons ago, Arsenal were looking at Chris Smalling. Now Arsenal come crawling for him, and Arsenal's defence is useless. Do you know what I mean? So you have to look at all them little elements in terms of contracts, in terms of form. It's impossible. And then you have to look at, obviously, the 2 clowns, Ed Woodward and Matt Judge, trying to negotiate a deal. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't say they could go down to the supermarket and buy a sliced pan, to be fair.
It's just frustrating because we see other clubs being able to, sell on players easily, and maybe it is our valuation. Maybe we do expect, like Smalling, maybe we should be, and Greg in the comments says, we should take some loss and get rid of them. So maybe we're overvaluing them, and you think, just sell them for a couple of million less. But then you have the argument of we sell players for too little money and we don't get enough. And if we have to, if we have to sell players to generate money to get Sancho, and you think maybe, we should sell them for more money, and maybe it is the negotiators. But I mean, realistically, who's going to pay Jesse Lingard 5.2 million a year? Like, really? Look, he was linked to Zenit and he was linked to Spurs, but are they going to be willing to pay Lingard 5.2 million, Phil Jones 4.3 million a year? We might have kind of shot ourselves in the foot there because we paid them so much money and now we're stuck with them. Charlie asks, sorry guys, has Ollie had his pre-match conference? He did. I think it was around 10 o'clock this morning, Charlie, and he spoke about Bailly coming in and some of the performances, and he's spoken about some of the young players, and he's spoken about Smalling as well, and stuff that's going to happen with him. Mark is in the comments, morning guys. He's saying Ollie has had it. Yes, I haven't caught up on it yet. Blush is in the comments. Blush Mac, Project Welbeck, Welbeck Lingard left United dry. Greg is saying we are selling players for little money because they are worth that, isn't it? Yeah, some people would argue that is all they're worth. I mean, really, how much is Phil Jones worth in this market? Zero. I would potentially say. Who will pay for Jones, who has spent more time in a hospital bed? Says Greg. Yeah, you're
bang on there.
Infirmary fees are probably going to cost more than his wages. It's just really frustrating because we seem to be stuck with them because we put them on long contracts with a lot of money, and I know they're dead players, like Kojo said, and we can't get rid of them. Jamie is saying Bailly should start tomorrow, much better than Lindelof. Yeah, in Ollie's presser, he has said that Bailly is going to start, and we touched on in this video if he can potentially be solver or defensive frailties and the the need for another centre back. Great news around Bay, got a soft spot for him. I think we all have a soft spot for Bay, but just his injury record. He's not better than Lindelof, says Mark. But Lindelof can't play with Maguire, and Lindelof would do the same job. That's an interesting comment. Kojo, I'll throw that out to you. Do you think that, would you like to see Bailly and Lindelof as a defensive two?
Last year I was screaming for that just because because even at Leicester I didn't really like Maguire, so when we paid 80 million for him, I was absolutely fuming. So I was screaming for that last year just because I was, like I said previously, I was praising Lindelof because the one thing was that he wasn't being beaten on the ground. When it came to one-on-ones, he was dealing with players quite easily. He was ushering them out, no problem. Obviously in the air he wasn't good. But Bailly sort of has that sort of, I don't know, call him complete, but he can compete in the air as well as on the ground as well. So you had that kind of balance. And my problem with Maguire is, yes, no, he does have to defend, but unfortunately for him, because it's something he cannot control, he's not quick and he's not agile. So in this era of like pressing much higher and, you know, trying to make recovery runs, you're just killing him. He can't do that because I'm faster than him. You know, it's one of those ones. So I was hoping for that kind of thing because Lindelof was doing right place, right time sort of defending, and Bailly has the pace to recover as well as sometimes being a bit aggressive in the challenge, but timing it quite well. But after what Lindelof did against Crystal Palace, not gonna lie to you, if I don't see his face again, I'm happy. You might as well make him like John Cena. We can't see him again. It's good. Like, you know, that's fine by me, man. So right now, Bailly and Maguire is the way to go. I don't want to see Lindelof's face right now.
I think Kojo echoes.
Can I say one thing about the centre backs? If Axel Tuanzebe can get back fit, lads, I'm telling you one thing, he wouldn't be a bad shout because he has kind of the same attributes as what Bailly and Lindelof has in terms of, you know, strength on the ball, in terms of reading the game, and he has pace and he's good in the air. Now, like when he came in for them few games at the start of last season, he was very good. And if he can stay fit, that he'd be another good alternative. It just remains to be seen, obviously, because of his injury problems he did have in the last 12 months.
And we saw he was stepping up his fitness as well yesterday. Tuanzebe, there was pictures of him with the fitness team. Greg says Bailly gives 100%. The only thing he's not fit most of the time. Jamie says Bailly is a much better 1v1. Lindelof, I think all three of us are better 1v1s over Lindelof. Really, he's so poor and weak in those areas. You cannot play Harry. He was 80 million, and we have to save face. If Maguire gets injured, Lindelof would be like for replacement. Harry and Victor are similar, whereas Bailly is quicker, and Kojo did say that. Yeah, that is an interesting point. I wouldn't mind seeing Bailly and Lindelof, but for now, Kojo, I echo that completely. I need a couple of weeks break from Lindelof to get over that horror show against Palace because it's still fresh in my mind, and I don't want to see him anywhere near the shirt because he just gives me anxiety. And lastly, we touch on Charlie's point before we go. Do you think Alex Telles is a necessary transfer target? We have Shaw and Williams. We are very, very heavily linked to him, Kojo, but we don't want to pay the valuation of 18 million. We're trying to get it down to 17 million yesterday, but apparently we only value him at less than we valued Chris Smalling, 12 million. Do we need him, and do you think we're valuing him at the correct amount? Because I'm not sure about that one myself.
I think he's necessary right now. I think we need for the way I think Ole's trying to play, I think we need a fullback with a lot more production in him in terms of crossing, and he's also very good at set pieces as well, which is an extra bonus. Defensively solid. To be fair to Shaw, I actually have been happy with Shaw because I feel like a lot of pressure is put on him too much just because all our play goes down the left side, so there's so much emphasis on him doing so much. Despite him he's not a top quality left back. So because he's not doing what Robertson does and maybe Marcelo back in the day and all that stuff, that fans get onto him a lot more. But all our play goes down the left more than the right because Wan-Bissaka's not very good going forward as he is going backwards. So I will take Telles. he offers a lot more going that side. And I think for someone like Brandon Williams as well, because he's right-footed, even though he's I feel he's a decent left back. I think he might be more suited to right back for now, just to make sure he stays on his right foot. So we have someone else that can go forward and contribute. And I don't know where the hell Diego Dallo is. So I would like to find out where he is as well, because he's gone ghost as well. He's probably on holiday or something, enjoying life. But yeah, Telles is necessary. I think he's very, very necessary. We need to improve in that position if we want to get more production out of players. And I think he goes a long way to doing that.
What do you think? Do you think we've enough covering in Shaw and Williams, or do you think Telles is a must?
I think Telles is a must, because you look at it, Brandon Williams, like he for the job that he done last season, and he did do very well in the left back position, but naturally he's actually a right back. So like if you're going to look at Brandon Williams, you're going to have to look at him and probably transition him as the backup right back rather than the backup left back. I think Alex Telles, as Kojo mentioned, like he's very good going forward, and we need someone like with Rashford. Obviously, with the way he's playing at the moment, he's coming inside as a playmaker nearly almost. You're going to need someone to be on the overlap, kind of what an Andy Robertson does. So Alex Telles will give us that. He's very, very good offensively, and we need someone on that left-hand side to provide us with that width, and he gives us that. With Brandon Williams, you see not too often he came in on his right foot and kind of slows down the attack when you already have Rashford coming inside. So in terms of offense, in terms of balance, you do need someone to be providing that overlap and someone to provide that on a good level, and Alex Telles does provide that.
And Mark says he's happy with Shaw defensively, but Telles is far better going forward. Telles is he scored 13 goals and 12 assists last season. I know he takes their penalties and stuff, but it's unbelievable. He's very, very good attacking, way better than Luke Shaw in attacking, and his crossing and his dribbling, and he's so quick, and he's decent defensively as well. 65 assists he has in his career. It's unbelievable for a left back. I think personally we definitely need Telles. It's a no-brainer, and 12 million, I mean, he's worth that 18 million without a shadow of a doubt. It's not even a debate for me. Last comment before we go: Brandon has to change his foot to cross if he plays left side, and Keane touched on it. He does come inside, and we don't really have someone staying on that left flank the whole time, and they're cutting inside, and Rashford's cutting inside. So we definitely need a left-footed left full-back there as well. So if you're watching and you like what you see from the lads, Kojo, Keane and myself, hit the like button, subscribe to All for United. The lads post videos all day long on this channel. It's up and coming. It's brilliant. So many United fans getting on and giving their opinions. Someone Jamie says Dallo is shocking, and Mark says Dallo isn't shocking. Many different opinions on this channel. I love it. It's growing and growing and growing. Get involved in the comments. Subscribe. I'm going to thank Kojo and Keane for coming on this morning and joining me. Happy Friday, everyone. Hopefully we can get some signings in over the line in the next few days. Sancho and Telles, and a big W on the table tomorrow as well, because we massively need it against Brighton. We're going to leave it there, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. I've loved it. Take care. Have a good day.